we're going to cover why the pre-release staff promos aren't that great of an investment. I'll throw some numbers your way. Let's get started. Hello, beautiful people. Captain Zach Sparrow here. Yes, we're going to be jumping around talking about Vivid Voltage and evolutions mainly here. I wanted to talk about the Charizards just because historically they've performed the best when it comes to individual cards over a long period of time. It depends on the set, the time you bought it, how much you bought it for, how much you sold it for. Of course, generally speaking, I think just an average Joe coming in understands that yes, Charizards do tend to perform fairly well. Big surprise. Guys, if you are looking to invest in any of these promos, any of the staff pre-releases, or any of the pre-release cards especially, you have to look at the pop report, especially now, once we have the pop report to work off of. For example, when Vivid Voltage was just releasing those pre-release cards, when that was just coming out, there wasn't a PSA 10 or a PSA 9 list that you could look off of to say, how many of these are there? As of the recording of this video, there are 152 Vivid Voltage pre-release staff Charizards. Right now, over 150 of them. They're selling for thousands of dollars. Look on eBay right now if you don't believe me. They're going in the $2,000 to $3,000 range right now. $2,000 to $3,000. Let's go over some things it's got going for it right now. It's from Vivid Voltage. That was a Rockstar set. Vivid Voltage is great. Everybody likes Vivid Voltage. You've got the Charizard aspect going for it. Also great. And then it's limited. So why is it not a good investment? It's not limited enough. And for the dollars I'm looking at right now, it's not screaming a buy opportunity to me. Let me go ahead and give you an example why. One with a little bit more data, but guess what? It's super comparable. It's another Charizard pre-release staff promo. Yes. Evolutions. In case you're not in the market for it, not looking for it, whatever the case, yes, there was an Evolutions staff promo as well. Have any guesses how many PSA 10s there are? There are 38 of them. Only 38. And do you think that there are more Gem Mint staff promos laying around for Vivid Voltage right now? Or from Evolutions 4 or 5 years ago? Meaning, do you think there are going to be more PSA 10s eventually popping up for Vivid Voltage? Or for the evolution, it's going to be Vivid Voltage. Okay, I got this data from Pokémon Price. It's just to give us an idea of what to work off of. I've got my notes right here. If you would have bought that card years ago, we're talking about the Evolutions staff pre-release card. If you would have bought that Evolutions Charizard years ago at the bottom, a PSA 10 at the bottom, which would have been $1,175. Which, by the way, the Vivid Voltage cards are going for more. I know we're at a different time in the market right now. I am just saying, just to give you an idea, this is Evolutions we're talking about here. $1,175. If you would have been that lucky duck to grab that PSA 10 at that price, and if you would have held it, if you would have held that for years up until the point where it sold at the absolute peak of $17,000, that's a huge win. Now, I am talking about absolutes. I'm talking about best case scenario. You bought at the dip and you sold at the peak, which statistically is improbable. But let's say you did that. That's an 857% increase. I know a lot of you are thinking, oh my goodness, that's amazing. If you have been watching my channel for a while now, you would know, seems about average to me if you're just investing in sealed products. You're right. And how much less risky is that? You have so much less of an opportunity cost, that just that sunk cost of having your money in that one Charizard card during that time, an 850% increase. Now, the thing I will say is, who was that collector who bought that card for $17,000? Yes, the market was in a different spot. Not entirely, though. If you would have bought that card for $17,000, do you know what you would... All right, let me break it down some more. Because if you're anything like me, at least, there's no way you would have been able to buy at the absolute bottom and been able to sell at the absolute peak. So let's take the second lowest price for them, which happened a couple of times, and that was it. it would be $2,175 is what you could have got the card for. A PSA 10, we're talking about the Evolutions one still. If you would have still sold at the highest point and you bought it at the second lowest dip, if you still would have sold it for $17,000, you're looking at a 681% increase, which is about average if you would have invested in a booster box during the XY era. Now, I said that kind of casually because the ETBs performed better than the booster boxes, and the booster boxes, if you would have bought just from every single set, you would have experienced an over 600% increase. And I'm going to repeat that again. You could have bought a booster box, and if you would have bought it for $100, we're not talking about $75 to $85, which you definitely could have gotten a lot of products around that price point. We're saying if you bought at $100, you would have seen an over 600% increase on your money, and you wouldn't had to have put thousands, literally over $2,000 into a single card, hoping that it goes up. Now, let's say you're not that greedy. You bought it the second lowest dip there, my friend, and you were able to sell at the peak. Now, you were the collector that bought at $17,000. You're like, you know what? I don't need over 800% increase if I bought at the absolute low, sold at the absolute highest. You know, as long as I get about a 600% increase, that's awesome. If you were that collector that bought that card for 17 grand, do you know how big that number would have to be to experience that 681% increase? You would have to wait until that card reaches $115,770. I'm going to say that again, over $115,000. Do you think that card is worth over $115,000? Do you see it getting there in the next few years? Again, the market's a little bit different now, but just 3.5 years ago, you could have bought a base set first edition PSA 10 Charizard for less than what you could have gotten that Evolutions card for. And I know I'm talking about it a lot, but I want to say it a different way. I really want to paint this picture. I really want to help people not just throw their money away. You would have tied up $17,000, and in my opinion, you're going to be waiting years until that sucker hits over $100,000. I personally think it's going to be years until if and or when you see that number for that. Do you think that Evolution-Staff Prerelease, that's the card, that's the one that's going to take me to over 100K? And even if it does that, I know I say only 681%, you're only experiencing a 681% yield. If you just bought from every single set during that time, you would have done just as good and you wouldn't have tied up all of that money. I see a lot of really smart YouTubers talking about, well, you know, it's the promos, it's the Black Star promos, it's the really exclusive stuff that does really well. Well, it depends. What I'm trying to make a point of here is it depends, of course, what you buy it at and what you sell it at. But it is really, really difficult to see a fantastic return when you buy something that's expensive. And when I say expensive, I mean like more than a booster box. When you start spending hundreds or more on a particular product, doesn't matter if it's sealed or a card, whatever that is, when you start spending that, those numbers go up exponentially, as you saw, over $100,000 for a single card. There aren't a lot of Pokemon cards that are going for that price right now. Yes, years down the line, they'll get to that point. However, would it be safer? Who knows? I can't guarantee anything. And if you think that Evolutions card is going to perform that way, and if you bought it at $17,000, good luck, my friend. So yeah, cutting edge stuff here. Buy low, sell high, but it's much deeper than that. Seriously, buy low, like MSRP level low. So does that mean that the Vivid Voltage pre-release staff Charizard, that's going to perform terribly? No, not necessarily. It depends what you want from the card. Now, again, one thing it has going for it, there are a lot of things going for it. It's Vivid Voltage, it's Charizard, it's numbered, it's still limited. That's a lot of great things going for it. And if you really like the design of the card, you're a Charizard collector, by all means, go for it. It is the last time that the Pokemon Company at least told us that they're going to be doing the staff promos. They said they're going to discontinue it. So it's the last one. So if that's going to command a premium down the line, we'll see. But do I think a newer set, one that's not as old, and let's be honest, it's not Evolutions. It doesn't hit the nostalgia bone like Evolutions does. Do I think then this Vivid Voltage that's 4 to 5 times less rare, do I think it's going to perform better? No, I do not. Now again, I could be wrong on that, but if you're spending thousands, if you're spending over $2,000 on this card, you're going to have to wait until that gets to be a very fat number before you see a decent increase. Now here's another thing I want to talk about. Again, I want to point out, we were talking about Charizards, we're talking about very limited Charizards, PSA 10s, we're talking about the cream of the crop here. I've seen some very cool Pokemon like Machamp that have not performed over months or even years, and they were staff pre-releases. You have to be very careful if you're parking your money in these exclusive Pokemon cards. It's just so hard to beat it. If you buy something at or even under MSRP, the potential upside, in my opinion, is so huge, and the downside risk, what is there, that the game dies? Do I think the Pokemon company, do I really think it's going to just crash and burn in the next 5 to 10 years? If I was a betting man, I would say no. But hey, what do I know? Even if that card hits over $100,000, historically, there would be more than a half a dozen ETBs from the Sword and Shield era that will perform better. Keep that in mind. Hope this video was informative to some of you out there. If you did enjoy it, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified of future videos just like this one. And until next time. Be careful what you buy. If you were that collector that put 17 grand into that car, you're gonna be waiting a long time, flat out.